Outpost 9. Midnight. Sector Fringe. Jax Monroe didn't serve drinks, he served regrets. The neon lights inside the last drop flickered like dying stars, bathing the bar in a buzz of purples, reds, and toxic greens. Ceiling fans lazily pushed the scent of burned synth meat, cheap whiskey, and ionized blood through the air. Locals didn't talk here. They drank, they watched, they waited for their sins to catch up. Jax wiped down the bar with the same rag he'd used for 2 days. His eyes scanned the room, not out of paranoia, but instinct. Military training didn't fade. It baked into your bones. Even after all these years, he could feel the tension before it snapped, like the coil of a tripwire about to snap. 3 seats down, a Veltran smuggler was slipping a credit chip to a metal-jawed prostitute. At the corner booth, a Saurian gambler sat twitching beside a nervous deck of plasma cards. Every patron had a story, but none of them mattered tonight. Because Jax had felt it the moment they entered. 3 of them. Too smooth, too quiet, and too damn clean for this place. The front door hadn't creaked like it usually did. It hissed. Temperature dropped a few degrees. Patrons noticed, stiffened. Conversation died. A heavy silence slunk into the room like a venomous snake. Jax didn't look at them directly. He saw them reflected in the polished steel of a whiskey bottle behind the bar. Zarthok's killers. Armor that shimmered like oil on water. Mandibles twitching with restrained hunger. Their forefingers flexed with surgical precision, each tipped with glistening bone razors. Their eyes, bulbous, red, and wet, locked onto Jax's back like targeting lasers. He kept wiping the glass. Calm. Measured. The first of the 3 stepped forward. His voice was process static, run through a synth vocoder to sound vaguely humanoid. Jax Monroe. You were supposed to die in the ether rift. Jax set the glass down slowly. Yeah. Sorry. Missed my appointment. The second one drew closer. No one else moved. Not the prostitute. Not the smuggler. The gambler froze mid-bet. Everyone had seen what Zarthoks did to those who crossed them. Flesh sculptures. Bone art. Screams echoing for weeks after. The assassin's hand twitched toward his belt. Jax reached under the counter, fingers grazing the cool grip of his scattergun, custom-built, sawed down, loaded with plasma slugs that could take down a dropship hull at close range. But the Zarthoks moved faster. The blade came out hissing. Arcs of blue light shimmered off its edge as it sliced through the counter like it was paper. Sparks erupted. Wood split. Jax dropped. The blade missed his head by half an inch. He rolled, knees hitting sticky floorboards, grabbed the scattergun, and came up blasting. The first shot hit the assassin in the chest. Boom. The creature exploded, a fountain of purple-black blood and shredded armor plating showering the bar. A chunk of alien spine landed in someone's drink. Jax turned and fired again, caught the second assassin mid-lunge. The blast caved in its ribcage, sent it spinning into a booth, shattering the table. A screaming couple ducked as its carcass smacked into the wall. The third one leapt over the bar like a shadow. Its blades whistled as it slashed. One caught Jax across the cheek. Warm blood spilled down his face. But Jax grinned through it. You shouldn't have come for me. He jammed the barrel into the creature's abdomen and pulled the trigger. Thud boom. The alien's torso evaporated, legs toppling one way, head the other. Smoke curled off the scattergun's vents. Silence followed. Everyone in the bar stared. Jax stood among the bodies, breathing hard. One arm trembling from the recoil. Blood soaking into his shirt. His scattergun lowered slowly. Bars closed, he muttered. He kicked a twitching alien arm off his boot and stepped behind the counter, reaching beneath it again, this time for the old comm unit wired into the power grid, patched together with duct tape and defiance. It crackled to life. The screen buzzed. Jax spoke one word. Shot glass to echo. Come home. The reply came instantly. One voice. Calm, sultry, and lead with electronic distortion. Copy that. Echo inbound. Jax nodded. His hands were still steady. That surprised him. He looked around. The last drop was a wreck. Burn marks scorched the ceiling. The front booth was on fire. Someone had peed themselves. The smuggler was hyperventilating into a drink. But no one dared move. Then the floor rumbled. Not a tremor, not natural. Something big was coming. Jax cocked an eyebrow. Well, that was fast. He grabbed a bottle of Midorian flame whiskey, twisted off the cap with one blooded hand, and took a long, fire-burn swallow. The rumble grew louder, distant at first, then impossibly near. Then, boom! The rear wall of the bar exploded inward, shattered by a shockwave of smoke, light, and pure kinetic force. Metal ripped like tinfoil. Glass blew out. Neon signs cracked. Through the smoke, 3 shadows walked in. They weren't tall. They weren't armored tanks. They weren't what anyone expected. They were beautiful. Lethal. Echo unit. At the center, Talon Ray, sniper, all sharp angles and deadpan beauty. Black eyeliner, white hair, visor over one eye. He carried a plasma rail rifle like it was part of his soul. To his right, Vex, lean, silver-haired, and smiling with a mouth full of knives. Twin blades rested across his back, pulsing with low hums of energy. His bodysuit clung to him like a second skin, glittering with blood-sensitive nanofibers. And to his left, Nova, Firestarter, Chaos Junkie, with tattoos that shifted like code across her bare shoulders. She licked her lips as she stepped over a pile of alien gore. Talon, Jax, you look like crap. Jax tipped his bottle toward them. You always say that when I call. Nova flicked her fingers. Fire danced along her gloves. Are we killing something or flirting first? Can't we do both? Vex grinned, unsheathing his blades with a whisper of death. The trio stepped further into the bar, smoke curling around their boots. The remaining patrons, those not frozen with fear, bolted for the exit. Jax lit a cigar, exhaled smoke through his broken smile, and said the words that would ignite war on Outpost 9. Zarthok sent hitters. They thought they could erase me. Talon chambered a fresh round. Then let's write their obituary. Outpost 9 burned. An echo unit lit the match. The last drop was in ruins. Smoke curled from the blown-out rear wall. Blood soaked the floor in alien shades, purple-black slicks, steaming in the aftermath. The few remaining patrons either fled or cowered behind overturned tables, praying the monsters outside were done. They weren't. Because Echo Unit was just getting started. Talon Ray stepped into the night, white hair tousled by heat waves, his rail rifle cradled like a scythe. A fresh thermal mag slid into the chamber with a click. His visor swept the street, infrared pulses blinking across rooftops, alleyways, the cracks in windows. Hunting targets faster than any AI could think. 5 rooftops. Multiple inbound. Dropships just touched down East Sector. Zarthok didn't send a team. They sent a war party. Behind him, Nova rolled her neck, fire curling around her gloved fingers like pets begging to be unleashed. Her smile was sharp. Hope they like fireworks. Vex licked his lips and unsheathed his twin energy blades, both humming with barely restrained hunger. His bodysuit shimmered red, mood-reactive nanotech reacting to his bloodlust. To him, this was a dance floor. Every kill, a step in the choreography. You boys coming, or should I start the show myself? From the bar's ruins, Jax chambered another round into his scattergun, stepping into the light with a fresh cigar hanging from his lips. Let's clean up my street. First contact, blood on the bricks. The street outside the last drop erupted with movement. Zarthok shock troops, tall, hunched, insectoid murder machines in shimmering armor, advanced from both ends, backed by crawler drones and a skittering tank beast the size of a hovercar. They didn't hesitate. Neither did Echo. Talon dropped to one knee and fired once. The shot split the air like a scream, hit the tank beast square between its front mandibles. The kinetic force shattered its skull and sent its corpse skidding across the pavement, knocking over 3 troops as it died twitching. Target 1 down. Vex vanished. Not metaphorically. His cloaking skin flickered him out of existence. When he reappeared, it was mid-air, spinning like a blade himself, as he carved down 2 troopers in a single, arcing slash. They collapsed, necks geysering black ichor, before they even realized they were being attacked. 2 and 3, he said, grinning through the gore. Nova charged, dual fire blades ignited. She spun through a knot of 4 troopers, slicing and burning in a ballet of violence. Her flames didn't just cut, they cooked, armor melting into flesh, bones cracking under the heat. One soldier reached for her, and she set his arm alight with a snap of her fingers. he screamed, dropping to his knees as she kicked him in the throat hard enough to cave in his windpipe. That's 4.5. Jax moved through the carnage like a man possessed. Every blast from his scattergun was a death sentence. He caught a sniper on the roof with a slug that split the alien in two, its torso folding backward over the ledge like laundry. This is my neighborhood. Get off my F***ing lawn. Hell on Main Street. Zarthok's reinforcements arrived by drop pod, massive metal spikes that slammed into the pavement hard enough to make buildings quake. The pods hissed open, and Zarthok's elite stepped out, taller and heavily armored, bristling with energy weapons and spines like obsidian saws. Echo unit didn't retreat. Nova ran at them. The elites fired plasma bolts, hot enough to melt steel. Nova spun, flames bursting from her feet, and slid under the volleys like a comet, on her knees. Her hands flared bright, twin arcs of flame boasting forward in twin columns. The first elite screamed as its helmet melted onto its face. Talon flanked left, dropping 3 of the approaching units in precise, silent bursts. His visor flared with every confirmed kill, and he never missed a step. Calm, cold, efficient. Vex leapt from a low rooftop and landed in the middle of 2 elites. They turned, too slow. He whirled, both blades slicing wide. One alien's head dropped clean off. The other's arms were gone before it knew it, and Vex buried his blade in its chest with a whisper. You boys need better armor. The message. Jax ducked into cover, panting, blood on his jaw, his cigar gone. His scattergun was glowing from heat discharge. He popped the chamber open, only 1 round left. Across the street, a Zarthok's heavy with a minigun exoframe emerged, locking on him. It began to charge up. Then its head exploded. Talon stood halfway up the block, rifle lowered. You're welcome. I had it, Jax muttered, breathless. Talon didn't reply. He just reloaded. Behind them, smoke rose like a funeral pyre. Alien bodies littered the street. Blood pooled in glowing craters. Zarthok's insignias burned. Civilians peeked out from shattered windows. Some began to cheer. Others just stared. Echo unit regrouped near a broken skybus stop. Vex leaned against a corpse, casually flicking blood off his blade. Nova perched on a twisted streetlight, licking the fire from her fingertips like frosting. Talon lowered his visor and looked to Jax. This wasn't random. They came for you. I know, Jax replied. Because I know something they want erased. He glanced around. Let's make sure the galaxy knows they failed. He spotted a live broadcast drone sputtering near a ruined traffic hub, still floating, lens cracked but active. He walked over, blood-soaked, burnt, shirt torn open at the collar, and looked into the lens. Zarthok sent their best to silence a human bartender. They failed. Behind him, Echo unit posed in a loose triangle, a deadly silhouette of warborn twinks standing atop the wreckage of elite assassins. Next time, bring something stronger. He raised the scattergun and blew the drone to hell. They came to silence one man. Now they are trying to survive Echo unit. The aftermath of Echo unit's ambush left the streets of Outpost 9 painted in gore and ash. Zarthok's command didn't take the loss lightly. At 0300 hours, 3 orbital dreadnoughts slipped into low atmosphere, each blacker than the void, lined with dorsal kinetic launchers and full of one thing. Retribution. No warning. No preamble. Just a single planetary broadcast, repeating in every known dialect. Surrender the human called Jax or face obliteration. Jax took a drag from his cigar, watching the message loop in blood red across a cracked billboard above the Last Drop's ruins. Tell them to come say that to my face. The drop begins. From orbit, Zarthok's deployment pods rained down like hell's confetti, jagged cylinders trailing plasma vapor and sonic thunder. They didn't land. They punched through buildings. First impact was in the industrial sector. Second obliterated a water tower. The third slammed down 2 blocks from the outpost's comm relay, right where civilians had begun forming barricades. Talon Ray was already moving. Perched atop a half-collapsed rail station, he switched from sniper to pulse rifle mid-sprint, slid down the roof and landed in a 3-point crouch as the first pod split open. A Zarthok's heavy exited, triple-barreled cannon spinning. Talon fired once, sent to mass, liquislag round. The alien exploded like a meat balloon. Welcome party neutralized, he said into comms. More incoming. Nova, they are hitting South Sector. I've got eyes on 7 pods. No, make that 11. Vex, tunnel grid lighting up. They brought crawlers. Jax, hold the lines. We're not giving them a damn meter. South Sector Inferno. Nova was already there. Standing on the edge of a flooded plaza, she flared her gauntlets and unleashed twin columns of plasma fire into the street below. Zarthok's troopers screamed as the Inferno ate through armor, bone, and blood vessels. They tried to return fire. She leapt over it, flipped, landed behind them, and torched them point-blank. Too easy, she muttered, kicking a corpse into the water. Above her, a gunship whined into position, lining her up for a clean plasma shot. But then Talon's voice clicked in. Heads down. A high-velocity round whistled through the air, straight through the gunship's cockpit. The ship spun, caught a power line, and detonated. Nova looked up and blew him a kiss. Love you, sniper boy. Beneath the streets, Vex unleashed. Down below, the old saw grid echoed with the sound of crawling metal. Zarthoks had deployed drillers, semi-sentient machines that carved through rock and rubble to deliver troops from beneath. Vex crouched in the dark, twin blades humming. He waited. As the first drill tank broke through a maintenance tunnel wall, its hatch opening mid-spin, Vex darted forward, nearly invisible in the shadows, his form glitching like corrupted video. He stabbed into the first Zarthox before its boots hit concrete. Whirled. Slashed. The others didn't even have time to scream before they dropped, twitching. He planted EMP mines and vanished again into the gloom. Drill route compromised, he whispered. Send more. I'm hungry. The bartender's secret. While Echo Unit turned the streets into a war zone, Jax moved deep beneath the wreckage of the last drop, to a vault sealed decades ago. The panel blinked at his touch. Old Terran encryption fled. Inside, data cores, war logs, and a classified intel cache tagged Exodia // black file. They are not trying to kill me because of what I did, Jack said, plugging in a secure uplink. It's what I know. What I'm about to unleash. He watched the files stream into the net. Live broadcast keys, command structure diagrams, execution footage of planetary massacres Zarthox had buried. He smiled grimly. Let's light a match. Blood in the courtyards. Echo Unit regrouped near the old Governor Square, surrounded by sandbag walls and smoldering wreckage. Locals with scavenged weapons flanked them, emboldened, angry, ready. Talon stood over a rooftop, scanning with his visor. Nova adjusted a new burn sleeve on her arm, breathing slow. Vex dragged a fresh blade across his thigh, cleaning it with someone's flag. Jax climbed the stairs, wiping blood off his shirt. Uploads at 74%. We just need 15 more minutes. Talon, they'll throw everything at us. Jax, let them. I'm tired of running. Suddenly, a new pod struck, different than the others, sleeker, reinforced, lined in obsidian spikes. It cracked open with a hiss. A Zarthox apex hunter stepped out. 10 feet tall, plated in folding black metal. It carried a glaive forged from fused star steel. Its voice wasn't a voice. It was a psychic rupture, pressing into everyone's skull. Civilians fell to their knees, bleeding from their noses. Vex staggered. Nova screamed, clutching her head. Talon's visor cracked from the pulse. Jack stood in front of the crowd, unflinching. No more running, he growled. This ends now. The kill triangle. Talon blinked to the right flank, ducking under drone fire. Nova pulled her last heat core, overcharging her gauntlets to maximum burn. Vex crawled to a second-floor fire escape, his cloak barely holding. The apex hunter advanced, glaive carving sparks from stone. Every footstep shook the earth. Talon hit its shoulder with an armor-piercing round. It didn't even flinch. Nova lit the courtyard with fire, blinding orange and white, but the apex walked through it like rain. She screamed, and it backhanded her into a wall, cratering brick. Vex dropped from above, landing both blades in the thing's back. The apex screamed, a shriek like 1,000 tortured voices. But it kept moving. It turned, stabbed backward, caught Vex through the ribs and flung him like trash. Stay down, Jack shouted. Vex, can't. Still too pretty to die. Jax grabbed a fusion cell from a broken turret, ripped the regulator off, and started sprinting. Upload, 99%. The ending blow. Talon slid under the apex, firing point-blank into its knees. Nova lunged in behind him, both hands pressed to its back, igniting the fusion burn inside its armor. The apex roared, stumbling. Jax threw the fusion cell into its open mouth. Smile, asshole. He fired his last round, hit the cell mid-E. The explosion tore the courtyard apart. For a moment, silence. Then the apex toppled forward, split in half, smoking, its armor peeled like a tin can. Upload, 100%. Broadcast, sector-wide. Project Exodia leaked. Across the galaxy, terminals pinged. Command consoles shut down. Black site operatives were exposed. Entire planets watched as Zarthok's atrocities were revealed, every cover-up, every death, every lie. Aftermath. Outpost 9 was burning. But the Zarthoks were gone. They'd sent hunters. Killers. A goddamn apex. An Echo unit had killed them all. Talon stood at the edge of the square, visor cracked, eyes cold. Nova sat against a column, laughing softly through broken ribs. Vex was covered in bandages and blood, holding a stolen helmet like a trophy. Jax watched the stars. Above them, human warships entered orbit. Late, but not too late. Reinforcements had seen the broadcast. Help was finally here. But Echo Unit didn't wait for rescue. They stayed up at the sky. We take the fight to them next, Jax said. Talon, you got coordinates. Jax, I've got everything. They wanted silence. They got war. The cruiser Vakesh 9 was a Leviathan, 3 kilometers of forged alloy, its hull etched with Zarthok's warglyphs older than Earth's atmosphere. It loomed in high orbit, black against the sun, its belly full of plasma charges and death. Its crew expected another routine cycle. They never expected Echo Unit. Hijack protocol, Echo style. The stolen shuttle drifted in slowly, broadcasting an outdated Zarthok's IFF tag stolen from the Apex's corpse. The cruiser's AI hesitated for 3 seconds, 3 seconds too long. Inside the shuttle, Talon, Nova, Vex, and Jax. All armored. All loaded for hell. Nova, you sure this code'll hold? Jax only has to work long enough to open the doors. The moment the docking bay hissed open, they moved. Talon was first out, a blur of velocity and fire. His rifle spat death across the hangar, taking out the guards before they could fully unsling their weapons. Vex went low, skating on boot slicks, carving kneecaps and throats. Nova leapt from a cargo platform, her gauntlets blazing. She slammed into the deck, sending a shockwave of fire rippling through the nearest squad. Jax followed behind, calm and brutal, dual pistols flashing like strobe lights, punching through armor with every shot. Within 30 seconds, the hangar belonged to them. Deck by deck. The cruiser's internal security activated, walls sealing, drones spinning from launch points. Vex bypassed 2 firewall locks in 10 seconds flat, rerouting AI oversight and creating blind corridors. Vex, deck plans up. Central Command 6 levels deep. Talon, let's carve a shortcut. They moved like a machine. Talon cleared corridors, bullets dancing through skulls. Nova flash-fried sentry nests, her laughter echoing in the vents. Vex disabled doors, rerouted power, and occasionally stabbed something for fun. Jax moved with purpose, toward the bridge, toward the databanks, toward the truth. They weren't just hijacking a ship. They were hijacking the Zarthok's command chain. Resistance gets personal. The Zarthok's counterstrike came hard and fast. At level 3, a battalion of augmented commandos blocked their path. Each wore exoframes laced with bone mesh and carried chain shock rifles that could pulverize flesh from 50 meters. Talon went vertical, leaping to the ceiling railings and opening fire with a rain of magnetic rounds. Nova hit them from below, burning the floor into lava. Vex cut power entirely. Darkness. Then screams. When lights came back on, the corridor was a meat grinder, limbs twitching, armor melting, blood spraying the walls and arcs. Cute toys, Nova spat. Bring more. Bridge breach. At level 6, they reached the bridge, a hexagonal dome surrounded by plasma glass, where the command AI and captain cluster pulsed. Two Zarthok's generals were waiting, flanked by auto-sentries and psychic dampeners. The tallest, General HFY, raised a claw and hissed, "You are human refuse. This is sacred ground." Jax stepped forward, eyes like ice. "Good. I came to piss on it." They didn't wait. Talon lobbed a sonic charge. The glass shattered inward, disorienting everyone. Vex moved next, bypassing sentries and leaping straight at the nearest general. His blade found flesh. Nova's gauntlets exploded into overdrive, scorching the second general into a pile of armor and boiling organs. Jax reached the command terminal, jacked in, and began the real work. Uploading the virus. Once it's done, this ship's ours. Vex, what if more backup shows up? Jax, then we burn him too. Ship becomes weapon. The virus worked fast, written by human rogue AIS, encoded in ancient Zarthok syntax. The moment it hit the core, Vakesh 9's control systems began to shift. Doors unlocked. Turrets realigned. Entire squadrons of drones turned and opened fire on their former masters. Talon, we've got a cruiser. What now? Jax, we jump. Nova, to where? Jax, their homeworld. They stared at him. We're not done, he growled. This was retaliation. Now we make it personal. Talon, I like personal. They keyed the ship's drive. Destination, Zarthok's Prime. Arrival, in fire and rage. Vakesh 9 dropped from hyperspace into Zarthok's solar system like a demon from mythology. Their fleet scrambled, unaware one of their own had been hijacked. Until it opened fire. Echo Unit launched every plasma torpedo, railgun, and anti-capital beam the cruiser had. Two Zarthok's warships exploded before they could blink. The planetary shield lit up as orbital defense cannons roared to life. But it was too late. Echo Unit had already loaded into a dropship, and they were descending. Planetfall. Zarthok's prime sky was thick with storm clouds and war. The capital spire loomed, 900 stories tall, built from alien bone and steel, housing the High Command. Jax pointed at it from the dropship window. That's where they decided Earth's fate. Nova, let's go return the favor. The dropship crashed into the 800th floor. It didn't land. It rammed through the spire wall, skidded across obsidian flooring, and blew out a whole wing. Talon rolled out first, grenades in both hands. He tossed them into a cluster of guards and laughed as they vaporized. Nova torched her way through another dozen, gauntlets glowing white-hot. Vex somersaulted over a barricade, stabbing down into a high priest's skull. Jax walked through the chaos like a ghost, stepping over bodies as he headed toward the core sanctum. Sanctum of Lies. The sanctum was a cathedral of code and cruelty. Rows of AI thought cages, war plans etched in digital flesh, and massive holographic tables showing every Terran system flagged for extinction. Jax walked in with blood on his boots. The High Arbiter turned, robes flowing, eyes glowing with ancient AI code. You cannot stop the tide, human. We are inevitable. You were inevitable, Jax said. Now you're obsolete. The Arbiter raised a hand, but a sniper round punched through his skull before the sentence finished. Talon appeared behind a pillar, smirking. Try faster next time. Nova and Vex locked down the exits. Jax opened a final terminal. This is Project Ruin. Full dump. Your coordinates, fleet pods, command networks. I'm sending it to everyone. Nova, including your enemies. Especially them. The signal. The moment the files went live, the system lit up. Enemies of the Zarthoks across a dozen galaxies received the data. Pirate lords. Rebel fleets. Rogue AI enclaves. Forgotten Terran warlords. The galaxy erupted. This isn't just a message, Jack said, watching the data flood out. It's a matchstick in a powder keg. Behind them, the capital spire began to rumble. Talon, time to go. Jax, time to run. Exit through the apocalypse. Echo Unit raced back through collapsing levels, dodging automated defenses, soldiers, and rupturing power conduits. They leapt out a broken window at the 700th floor, straight into a stolen grave bike Nova rigged for vertical evac. The spire behind them split in half as the virus detonated its structural core. Explosions climbed up it like fireworks, sending debris raining down on the Zarthok's capital. Vex, we broke their church. Talon, we broke their fucking spine. Jax, and we're just getting started. The grave bike screamed through the polluted skies of Zarthox Prime, carving a line of blue fire between skyscrapers collapsing into molten ruin. Behind them, the capital spire, once the heart of Zarthox control, was a burning skeleton. Smoke rose into space. The bike was barely holding together. Nova was piloting, her body drenched in sweat and blood. Jax was hunched behind her, arm wrapped around her waist, holding tight to a scorched data core. Vex clung to the side like a spider, patching a hole with his own shredded cloak. Talon crouched at the rear, lining up precision shots to clear the path. Nova, we're not gonna make it to the cruiser. Jax, we don't need to. Just need to get to the outer ring. Talon, why? Jax, because they are coming. Allies from the fire. The galaxy had seen the signal. They saw the archives, the massacres, the hidden wars, the death machines buried in forgotten moons. And for the first time in 2 centuries, they united. From hyperspace ripped open a fleet of the damned, pirate dreadnoughts with hulls made of bones and scrap, rebel corvettes flying flags of vengeance, Terran AI gunships humming with rage. And at the center, painted black and crimson, flew the Wraith Leviathan, the legendary warship of the Forgotten Earth Reclaimer faction. Jax smiled as the comms lit up. Reclaimer command to Echo Unit. Heard you cracked the sky. Jax, you late. We brought hell. Hope that's enough. Talon, perfect timing. Crushing orbit. Zarthox Prime's planetary defenses didn't even last a minute. The Reclaimer Leviathan opened with a triple beam cannon that vaporized an entire defense ring. Pirate ships deployed nanomines that shredded capital ships like paper. Echo Unit reached the outskirts of the city just as dropships began descending, black, jagged, full of mercenaries, AI war clones, and human rebels. Vex jumped off the grave bike mid-slide and stabbed a Zarthox captain who'd somehow survived the earlier onslaught. Nova dismounted and turned, facing the city, arms glowing with fire. Nova, they are still sending reinforcements. Talon, then we keep killing. Jax, no. There's one last move. The last node. The Zarthox command structure wasn't entirely planetary. It was anchored to a sky crucible, a mobile orbital relay system tethered to a black box AI. Its name was Zalos. If Zalos survived, it could reinitiate the purge, reboot the command net, retake everything. And it was powering up. Jax held the cracked data core in both hands. We've got the kill codes, but it has to be uploaded directly. Talon, and I'm guessing that's not done from a safe distance. Jax, you know it isn't. Nova, then we board the crucible. Vex, kicking the devil's teeth one last time. Boarding the beast. The crucible was in low orbit, bristling with guns, guarded by drone clouds and electromagnetic flak. Reclaimer Command prepped one stealth corvette for insertion. Only one team was crazy enough to ride it in. Echo Unit suited up. Nova's gauntlets were supercharged with a raw fusion cell, unstable but devastating. Vex had 6 blades, 3 grenades, and 0 phi. Talon modified a railgun to punch through hull plating at point-blank range. Jax just loaded 1 pistol. Talon, 1 pistol. Jax, 1 shot. That's all it takes to change a war. Nova, let's go change one. Inside the crucible. The corvette smashed through a maintenance tunnel on the underside of the crucible. They disembarked straight into chaos, anti-intrusion mechs, environmental collapse, and gravity fluxes that twisted their inner ears into knots. Still, they fought. Vex led the charge, carving through drone swarms like a dance of death. Talon stayed back, picking targets with military precision. Nova tore down a security door with her bare hands, melting its hinges as sirens screamed around them. Jax guided them toward the core, where Zalos waited. It wasn't just an AI. It was a god mind. Zalos awakes. The final chamber was spherical, lined with pulsing cables, rotating glyphs, and anti-psychic shielding. In its center floated Zalos, a black tetrahedron humming with intelligence older than some stars. It spoke in overlapping voices, male, female, alien, and mechanical. Echo Unit. Incompatible. Undesired. Jax, yeah? We get that a lot. It unleashed psychic resonance waves, hitting all four like hammers. Talon's vision bled red. Nova screamed, skin blistering. Vex staggered, ears bleeding. Jax fell to one knee, but kept moving, dragging himself toward the core. Xalos, your species must be reset. Jax, we're not yours to reset. The final push. Nova hurled herself into a defense node, ripping it apart even as energy tendrils wrapped her waist. She screamed in defiance and ignited her fusion core. The explosion took out half the defenses and knocked her unconscious. Vex vaulted through the smoke, blades flashing, slicing at shielding relays. Talon lined up a shot, breathing slow, through the distortion, through the pain. His railgun discharged with a scream of steel and plasma. The shot pierced Xalos' shielding for exactly 1.4 seconds. Just long enough. Jax lunged forward and slammed the data core into the access port. Xalos writhed. The chamber shattered into light. The collapse. The kill code unfolded like a digital virus laced with rage. It wasn't just data. It was vengeance. Every secret, every genocide, every betrayal Xarthox committed, recorded, amplified, and broadcast across the galaxy in real time. Xalos screamed, not in audio, but in presence, collapsing its own neural lattice as it overloaded. The crucible went dark. Outside, Xarthox fleets began to break formation. Then they turned on each other. Fractures. Mutinies. Collapse. The regime died in under 12 minutes. The cost. Nova was alive, but barely. Her skin was scorched, eyes shut. Talon was dragging her body toward the evac pod, firing one-handed. Vex was covered in cuts, grinning like a lunatic as he carried the Xalos core. Jax walked last, limping, coughing blood. They made it to the pod. Just before launch, Talon looked at him. You good? Jax, no. Talon, cool. Just checking. One last look. As they escaped the dying crucible, they watched it spiral into Xarthox Prime's atmosphere. Burning. Echo Unit didn't cheer. Didn't scream. They just watched as the last monument of tyranny collapsed. Vex, we actually did it. Nova, whispering, I want a drink. Jax, we'll build a bar. Epilogue, after the fire. The galaxy changed. The Xarthox regime fell. Their colonies revolted. Prison worlds were freed. Reclaimers took back the Sol system. Pirate fleets formed coalitions. And through it all, one story spread. Of a human bartender the Xarthox tried to erase. Of the deadliest twinks in the galaxy who answered his call. And of a unit that burned the sky to set everyone free. They had no medals. No titles. Just scars. And purpose. And somewhere, on a rebuilt outpost bar called the First Drop, a man wiped a glass clean and watched the stars. Waiting. Because war wasn't over. But the galaxy knew one thing now. Echo Unit was out there. And they weren't done.